Sridhar Guruvaya vidmahe Samastadevaya dhimahi Tanno sarva prachodayate.
Sudharshana. Darshan is a normal name which we keep for our kids also. Darshan, Darshan. Sudarshan. Darshan is sight. Sudarshan, more insight. However unpleasant something may be happening, but when I look at it, it gives me an insight into the beautiful things of it. We do not have a control over things that are happening around us. But the way you look at something, your attitude towards a subject can be different. My attitude towards something may not be pleasant. I don't have a control over it. My boss is there in the office. His job is, once I enter the office at 10 o'clock, his job is to shout. He will start yelling at me morning 10 o'clock. Once I enter the office, he will start yelling at me because he had some fight with his wife. He cannot yell at her. So he brings it along with this tiffin carrier. He brings it packaged in lunch box. He brings it to the office. Once he starts anybody, he starts fighting. He imagines that that person is his wife. And he starts shouting. Normally what people do is, when they cannot attack against the source to a problem, they will start for secondary sources which can be attacked. It's a psychological tendency. So I cannot say anything against my wife, but there is somebody in the office whom I can fire. Because I have hired him to fire it, nothing else. So he starts shouting at me. As far as office is concerned, it is impersonal. There is nothing personal. Anything that happens in the official atmosphere is more an impersonal attribute of life, and it is not a personal attribute of life. And I need not take it personally. I have to treat it impersonally because it is more official and not personal. If that attitude comes in mind, when I look at my boss, I start thinking, oh, like this also we can shout. Suddenly I start imagining my boss like a monkey. The monkey when it gets very wild. Now the entire scene becomes a comical scene. I do not concentrate on what he says, but I look at his facial expression, exactly a orangutan. Nothing else. It gives me a lot of entertainment. Now my attitude, oh, we can shout like this. We can do like this. Now my boss is teaching me how not to behave. To teach how to behave is very easy. To teach how not to behave is very difficult. That person is risking his life, his professional life, and teaching me how not to behave. And this is a very good lesson to learn. And Sakshat is God. God comes into our life in many ways. Sometimes He comes like a hero, sometimes He comes like a villain. But in both ways He comes to teach us and elevate us from the level of ignorance to better levels of consciousness. I slowly start developing a don't bother attitude. Not a big brother attitude, but a don't bother attitude. I am not very much bothered. This is after all an office, an impersonal relationship. An impersonal relationship cannot be personalized. There is no stress at all for me. Let him keep shouting what is there. The boss is not going to chuck you out of employment because he cannot get a better employee for him to hire and fire. A very patient employee who listens to his boss, whatever he says, he is an asset to the boss, may not be to the organization. That is a different issue. When you have a bolt and you have a nut, when you tie the nut to the bolt, it doesn't stand. When you remove the bolt, put a washer in the middle and then tighten it, it stands. Washer is dummy. In the office also you need some dummies for the organization to work properly. It is worth to pay for such dummies. When you have a very strong first man, a man capable, a man who can run the show, have a weak second man. Don't keep a strong second man. Have a strong third man. Then keep a weak fourth man. Have a strong fifth man. You see, the organization will be only in profit. It will function very well. Dummies are very useful. There is nothing like uselessness in life. If you think something is useful, unless there is something useless, there is nothing like something useful. Useless and useful are mutually complementary. We don't understand this. When I used to work those days in the office, I will see to that if I have a strong first man, the second man will be dummy. The third man will be a very excellent man. Fourth man will be dummy. I will ensure, I will keep a lot of dummies. And it is worth paying them that salary. It's worth. The organization runs very smoothly. If you have a lot of intellectual people in the organization, that organization will not flourish. You will have a lot of problems. This is my personal experience. If the first man is dummy, second man must be powerful. So accordingly adjust. So it is more the attitude towards a problem. Problem need not be solved. If the attitude towards the problem changes itself, it is as good as solution. That attitudinal change is given by Sudharshana. When you recite the mantra Om Srim Hrim Klim Krishnaya Govindaya, what it should bring? It should bring an attitudinal shift. The way you look at things, the way you observe the things should be totally different. The way you look at it should be somewhat different, maybe rebellious also, but it brings a lot of change inside you. Inside you it develops a lot of consciousness to look at things in a much better way, to not only be useful to you but also be useful to others. That is possible provided in the first place you are useful to your own self. Without being useful to one's own self, there is no chance of being useful to others. It's not possible. So ultimately, one has to search for their own peace, to offer peace to others. Otherwise, you will offer only peace, P-I-E-C, not P-E-A-C. One must be peaceful and contented with one's own self and one's own conduct, right at the center. One must be totally full of contentment. That full of contentment comes when you eat a very nice food with some 32 items. A food is offered to you, you take full food. You are so happy. You say, my stomach is full, another 6 hours, my stomach is not going to accept anything. The food was so excellent. How grand you have made the food. This is contentment. The other way, food is not nice. You are not able to take. After taking a little bit food itself, it is so infuriating. It is not good. And now you say enough. This is not contentment. Contentment should come on account of the extreme satisfaction you had by passionately enjoying something. After enjoying it in full, then you get contentment. That is contentment. So one has to go to the peak of enjoyment, and that is possible only one is totally attached and one is totally passionate to the subject to which they are subjected to. Otherwise it is not possible. That kind of a contentment brings about an attitudinal shift that brings about the real character inside the person. That brings about the total real self inside you, where you radiate with a lot of energy, with that aura of the cosmos. Where anybody coming near you, all their melodies become melodies. Anybody coming near you, stand cured. And you have got that healing touch. And the Lord supplies that through you. And that is brought by Sudharshana. So when you do this mantra, when you meditate on the mantra, when you, as you say, as you bring the mantra from the down navel portion, when you bring the mantra, when you say the mantra, when you close your eyes and when you say, be dedicated totally towards the mantra, at that particular point of time, at that particular action, you think only about the action that is being performed, not about the fruits of action thereof. But the action just to be performed at that particular point of time with total passion and dedication. As the mantra is said, as it is given, it gives a lot of energy and it consummates and connects all the energy to bring in the concept of yoga and prayoga and to deliver the essence. Everything that is seen across in the cosmos is so beautiful. Everything seen with very compassionate eyes, the inner eyes of compassion, total unconditioned love, that is given by Sudharshana.